What's up, FabTV fans? I'm here with Chris Collins, and he's got a new film coming out here. It's about Elon Musk has gone to Mars. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so I mean, it's basically about a father-son story. We're following up with A-12 in 30 years when he's in his mid-30s. Obviously, he has a famous father, like you just said, and he's coming of age. He's falling in love. And yeah, there's a special bond that he had with his dad over one of those, at that point, vintage Tesla Roadsters, one of the first Teslas ever built. And yeah, so he's basically waking up from a nightmare, and then we're going to see a few days in his life unfold. So it's kind of an interesting view into the future.
It's really interesting. And what made you want to make this film?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's nice to be excited about the future. And I think one of the things that's great about Tesla is that they're really actively building the future, right? So there's an effort made to really envision how we're going to live together and how is technology going to make our lives better. But then as a director, I'm really interested in how we're going to live together, the human aspect of it, right? Because being a dad still feels like being a dad, you know, and you know, how are we going to live with all this technology? That's really interesting to me. So it's a look into the future, and it's all about trying to see how we're going to live despite the fact that we're going to have technology making our lives easier.
What made you submit and place your film here at the Beverly Hills Film Festival?
The producer was mostly in charge of that, but this is a great festival, and it's a real honor to be featured here. It's great to see it here at the Chinese Theater at the big screen. The sound's been great, the picture quality's been great, so it's just awesome to be a part of it, and there's a lot of great people here, so we're very honored to be a part of it.
I like how you said it's like a love story. It's like a son-father situation, so it kind of looks like it's a study in something, but then it's kind of a fictional thing as well.
Absolutely. I mean, the idea here is not to look into what is going to happen to this famous person, but it's more about humanizing and doing a bit of a character study and allowing us to maybe see ourselves in it a little bit too, you know, because I think that, you know, in our movie, father and son are kind of bonding over this car, and I think that's a really common theme, right? I mean, like, you know, father and son working on a car together, or just bonding over cars in general, right? It's a real sort of typical father-son theme that was kind of fun to explore here. And I think sometimes we think of electric cars as sort of a different thing because they may feel a little bit more like a computer on wheels. But I think you can still feel a little bit romantic about electric cars too, you know, or nostalgic, if you will.
I think so too, absolutely.
Yeah, so we're just excited about seeing, you know, where's this legacy of Tesla going to go, and this look 30 years ahead is allowing us to do that.
So as you mentioned how you wrote this film, how did you think about how you're going to shoot this thing? That's where I'm struggling, because I can't wait to see it now. Like, how did you go about like casting, and how are you going to shoot it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the idea was really to just find a bunch of relatable characters, and Steven and Malia were just kind of fit the bill, you know. I also think that the lead is doing a good job sort of mimicking some of the mannerisms to where you could really see him standing next to his dad, not that we're showing that. But then also the idea was for us to shoot away from very busy cityscapes, right? Because it's set in 30 years, and we couldn't have a whole bunch of flying futuristic cars around, right? So mostly you see the Tesla by itself. We also set the film to be in Joshua Tree. So in the California desert, you see a lot of shots of the car basically by itself, driving through the California desert. And that was kind of fun to film. So we also kind of wanted to show the isolation of X, our main character, and him living in the desert kind of lend itself to that, right?
That makes total sense to me, right? That makes it, the desert being futuristic, kind of Mars-like as well.
Absolutely, that was the whole idea. It's almost like his dad is on Mars looking at this barren landscape, and he chose to live in Joshua Tree, where you have this sort of barren, deserty landscape, right? So it kind of, and then there's also something sort of metaphorical about being in the desert and going into this sort of barren landscape to kind of find yourself. And that's where our character is in. He's really trying to come into his own. And although he feels sort of the separation from his dad, it's really not about anything overly dramatic. It's just, I think, there's a time when every boy has to become a man. And the precipice of that moment is what the film is about.
Okay, last question. How long is your film?
It's 9 minutes.
Wow, it's super short.
It's super short. But you know, the great thing about this topic is that most people, if they see the name of the film and they recognize the name, that means that they already know part of the backstory. So in reality, you've already spent minutes or hours with this character just hearing about it and knowing about the famous father. And so I feel like it's a lot longer than 9 minutes because we're picking you up somewhere. You probably have heard about this really famous father before because, I mean, who in the world hasn't heard, you know, about the dad before? So it works out really well.
Well, you detailed this film really good. In fact, this interview is 9 minutes long.
I know. Now you have to go see it.
All right. Great talking to you, Chris. Great job.
Likewise.
Thank you. Thank
Nice
you.
talking to you.